even when I'm exposed to this all day, it's still like, holy shit, it's still mad.
Yeah.
The Earth is the cradle of humankind, but it cannot sustain humanity indefinitely for the same reason that we were once drawn into uncharted places, and across the broad sea, mankind is drawn to the heavens. Thank you for returning. We prefer to explore space because it enhances our lives and strengthens the spirit of our country. So let's continue our voyage, and today we're going to talk about what's truly inside the SpaceX spacecraft. Let's get this party started, shall we? SpaceX is developing the Starship system, a two-stage to-orbit super heavy lift launch vehicle that is reusable. A booster stage known as Super Heavy and a second stage known as Starship make up the system. The Starship's second stage is being built as a long-duration cargo and passenger-carrying spaceship and lander, which is unusual for a standard launch vehicle's second stage. The Starship vehicle was developed as a self-funded private spaceflight project in 2016, 4 years after work on the Raptor engine that drives it began. Starship SN-15, the prototype to complete a high-altitude test flight and be recovered, began testing in 2019 with low-velocity launches and landings and continued through high-altitude descent tests until May 2021. SpaceX plans to launch a whole two-stage Starship system into orbit no early than August 2021. As of June 2021, Elon Musk is developing a spacecraft that has the potential to revolutionize space travel. The Starship, as it would be known, will be a totally reusable spacecraft capable of delivering up to 100 people to Mars. Elon Musk's private spaceflight business SpaceX was founded with the idea of making life multi-planetary. Existential risks, such as an asteroid collision large enough to wipe civilization out, are part of the driving force for this. Human civilization would be spared if one of the planets encountered a cataclysm if some of the eggs were placed in other baskets. In 2016, the businessman expressed his thoughts at an international conference in Mexico. There will be two paths for history to take. One choice is that humans stay on Earth indefinitely with an eventual extinction event, he stated. The alternative is to grow into a spacefaring civilization and a multi-planet species, which I believe is the best option. Musk has frequently declared his intention to establish settlements on Mars. Settlements, he says, would require a significant number of people to become self-sustaining. The Starship spacecraft will be launched on a Super Heavy rocket. Starship is the name given to the combined system, which will stand 120 meters or 394 feet tall. First, we'll look at the spaceship. With its nose cone and landing fins, the stainless steel vessel resembles a spaceship from the golden age of science fiction. 6 powerful Raptor engines, developed by SpaceX over a decade, are positioned at the back of the 50-meter-long or 160-foot-long craft. The engine's design minimizes propellant waste and allows for phased combustion. The propellant tanks are located in the center of the vehicle. These supply the Raptors with liquid methane, CH4, and liquid oxygen, O2. The fuel is methane, and the oxidizer is oxygen. Methalox is the name of this mixture. Although methane is an unusual propellant for rocket engines, it may produce a significant amount of thrust. It's also a wise decision, given Musk's plans for Mars. According to SpaceX founder Elon Musk, the Sabatier reaction might be exploited to produce CH4 from Martian underground water and atmospheric carbon dioxide. Refueling the Starship using Martian resources for the return voyage to Earth would provide self-sufficiency, making travels more viable and cost-effective. A massive payload compartment is located in the front of the spacecraft, which is known as the upper stage, and will be capable of transporting significant goods or passengers to deep space destinations. Let's have a look at the rocket now. Super Heavy will be packed with 3,400 tons, which is approximately 6.8 million pounds of chilled cryogenic methalox, and will be 70 meters long. It will be powered by roughly 28 Raptor engines. This number has changed numerous times, with a maximum thrust of 16 million pounds, 72 meganewtons. It should be able to carry at least 100 tons of payload to low Earth orbit, and maybe as much as 150 tons. Super Heavy will be more powerful than the massive Saturn V launcher that was employed for the Apollo moon missions in the 1960s and 1970s. What will be the purpose of the Starship? Musk plans to build roughly 40 rooms in the payload area near the front of the upper stage for long-haul voyages to Mars and back, which might take up to 9 months each way. You could fit 5 or 6 passengers per cabin if you wanted to stuff them in. On most flights to Mars, though, I believe we should expect to see 2 or 3 people per cabin, Musk stated. Common areas, storage space, a galley, and a shelter would all be located in the payload bay to protect passengers from solar storms, which occur when the sun spews hazardous charged particles into space. NASA's Artemis mission, which intends to establish a long-term human presence on the moon, could use a Starship. NASA allocated SpaceX $135 million in 2020 to enhance the design of Starship so that it might be utilized as a crewed lunar lander. The version designed for Artemis flights would lack the heat shield and flaps required for a return trip to Earth. Instead, after its initial launch from Earth, the Starship human landing system would linger in space and be used for repeated voyages between lunar orbit and the moon's surface. The cargo variant of Starship has a payload compartment that opens up like a crocodile's mouth. It might then be used to launch satellites. The vast payload capacity, according to SpaceX, offers up prospects for new types of robotic science missions, including telescopes larger than the James Webb Observatory, Hubble's successor. The device might be utilized to travel between various points of the world at fast speeds. Musk claims that Starship will be able to transport people to places in the greater solar system, including gas giants like Jupiter. This, however, will be a long-term goal. When will it take flight? SpaceX has been testing multiple prototypes of the Starship upper stage in its Boca Chica facility in Texas for the past few years. Starhopper, a 39-meter tall test piece that resembled a water tower, was the company's first project. SpaceX has been constructing progressively complicated Starship prototypes since launching this vehicle to 150 meters above ground. In December 2020, Starship serial number SN8, the prototype with a nose cone and flaps, soared to a height of 12.5 kilometers. The vehicle's belly flopped back to Earth, providing SpaceX with crucial engineering data on the final leg of its journey back to Earth. SN8, on the other hand, approached the landing pad a little too quickly and forcefully, crumbling and exploding it. The SN9, which was released in January 2021, had a similar fate. The SN10 landed in March of that year, but a fire broke out around its base, leading the prototype to explode on the landing pad. Nonetheless, Elon Musk has promised Japanese internet retailer Yusaku Maezawa a lunar trip in 2023. In a Starship with 8 other people, Mr. Maezawa will fly around the moon. Musk has also stated that in 2024, one of the vehicles will be sent on an unmanned mission to Mars. The building and testing of SpaceX's Starship has been delayed. Musk stated in July that SpaceX hoped to complete full Starship flight tests in 3 months, putting the business slightly behind schedule. SpaceX was also forced to stop any testing that could risk lives until the agency authorized revisions. Trying to figure out how much Starlink is worth is a difficult task. By 2025, we expect Starlink to have covered a major portion of the worldwide population. We also expect Starlink to compete largely with fixed-line broadband services, as its receivers are projected to be large enough to be used in a pizza box. The forthcoming crewed flight could displace the Russian rockets NASA has been using to transport humans to the International Space Station since 2011. According to Laura Forsythe, head of the space consultancy firm Astrolytical, cheaper, more frequent flights could boost the biological and physical research investigations aboard the station. In addition to sending the climate-observing Jason 3 spacecraft and the planet-hunting transiting exoplanet survey satellite into orbit, SpaceX has helped NASA advance science in other ways. When do you think it will be fully implemented, and which one was the most difficult for you to believe will be less expensive than NASA? What did you think about SpaceX's Starship? Tell me about your favorite Musk move that we didn't include in our list. Tell us everything in the comments area below, and we'll take it from there. Please share this video with your friends, and do remember to subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos. You can also press the bell icon to be notified every time we upload a new video.